The master has arrived. In this video, I'm going to unbox this Sony AF9 OLED television and go through the user menu to see if there's anything new in terms of the picture settings. Coming right up. Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. I'm a TV reviewer and professional calibrator. I've finished unboxing this Sony AF9 OLED TV. This is also known as the Bravia A9F in the United States. And I have hooked it up to my Oppo 203 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player. And I'm going to go through the picture settings in the user menu to see what's new. If I press the action menu button on the remote control, this will bring up this menu here, and then I can click on picture, which will bring up the picture settings. The default picture mode on the Sony AF9 is standard, but if we click on it, you can change to different picture presets, either vivid or cinema, game, graphics, photo, and custom. Now, on previous Sony televisions, there used to be the Cinema Home mode and the Cinema Pro mode, and the Cinema Home is meant for daytime viewing, Cinema Pro for nighttime viewing. But on the AF9, and I believe that on the ZF9, also the Z9F in the USA, they have changed the nomenclature slightly. So Cinema is the new name for the old Cinema Home mode, and then game mode is meant to reduce the input lag by cutting down video processing to deliver the highest gaming responsiveness. graphics mode, photo mode, and then custom is the new name for the old Cinema Pro mode. So I'm going to go to the Cinema mode, and then I'm going to go through the picture settings in the user menu. And if I go into advanced settings, brightness determines light output, contrast determines the digital white level, gamma, again, this you can brighten it or darken the picture for viewing in either a daytime or nighttime environment. Black level, it just allows you to set the video black level. Black adjust, advanced contrast enhancer, peak luminance, these are unchanged from previous Sony OLED such as the A1 or the AF8. Now if we go into the color submenu here, color, hue, color temperature, advanced color temperature, live color, they are exactly the same as previous Sony OLED televisions. And if you're interested in what these do, you can go and look at some other videos that I've done running through the different picture settings, explaining what they actually do. But new on the AF9 and also the ZF9 is this control here per color adjustment, and this is for the first time in Sony television history, at least on the domestic front, that they have introduced a color management system, or CMS. This allows us to tweak the 6 colors here, the 3 primary colors of red, green, and blue, and also the 3 secondary colors of magenta, cyan, and yellow. Now I note that the order is red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. I think this is just how the colors on the CIA chart is done rotationally, although I would have preferred that they set the red, green, and blue together, because what we professional calibrators normally do is to align the primary colors and then align the secondary colors. But Sony has arranged it as such. It is red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, yellow, according to the CIA chart clockwise. So if we go into each color, it will allow us to adjust the hue, saturation, and lightness. Lightness is also known as luminance or brightness on other TVs with color management system. Previous Sony TVs don't have the advanced color management system, but generally once you get the grayscale correct, the colors do fall into place. But by adding the color management system, users or owners of the AF9 and also the ZF9 can dial in the colors even further if you have some panel variation. So good move by Sony on that front. And I believe that it is possible to use the SpectraCal Kalman software to adjust this using AutoCal and also with direct display control as well. But I will explore that when I start reviewing the TV, because I've just unboxed this TV. It is fresh out of the box. It is as fresh as a piece of meat. That didn't sound right. So it's as fresh as sushi. So it's just fresh out of the box, and I haven't had any chance to actually go through the picture settings in detail. So I'm just exploring it for the first time together with you. And if we go into clarity, these are all the same, although I note that I don't know whether it's because we are feeding a 1080p source or a 4K source, that previously there used to be a master in 4K control, which in my opinion is not really necessary anyway. I don't see it here, but I don't know whether it will appear if you feed a different signal. If we go into motion flow custom, right, the default is custom. And then there are only 2 settings here. So you can either disable motion flow, you can set it to custom to independently adjust the frame interpolation and also the black frame insertion, or you can set it to auto, where presumably the TV does its own thing. Previously on Sony TVs, there used to be the standard and the smooth settings, which applies frame interpolation and also true cinema as well. But Sony has removed all those, and you get only off, custom, and auto. And we'll go into custom. Smoothness applies frame interpolation, while clearness applies black frame insertion. And the black frame insertion is an on-off toggle. So with low, black frame insertion is off. With high, black frame insertion is on. And maybe you can see from your camera that there's some flicker on screen, and the brightness has dropped as well. These are well-known side effects of black frame insertion due to how black frames are inserted artificially into the original video frames. I'll turn it off before some of you get seizures. And if I go into smoothness, again, I think the level of intensity has been reduced from previous Sony televisions. Previously, I think on the A1 and also the AF8, I think there are 5 levels of control ranging from min, 1, 2, 3, 4 max, I think. But on the AF9 and also presumably the ZF9, no, I won't say that because I haven't actually seen the ZF9. On the AF9, there are only minimum, 1, 2, and maximum. Okay, so film mode just allows you to do either film mode deinterlacing or video mode deinterlacing. And again, there are only 2 settings here, either off or auto, whereas on previous Sony televisions, there used to be off, low, medium, and high, and the medium and high actually applies additional frame interpolation to smooth it out even further. But on the AF9, there are only the off and on controls. So we'll set it to auto. And if we go into video options, these are just automatic. It's best to leave all this as automatic. Now, these are the picture settings, but there are other things that I wanted to check out as well. And if I go into HDMI signal, right, so this is the ERC port I've hooked it up to. And if I press the home button, and if I go into settings, if I go into external inputs, I'm interested in the HDMI signal format. And if I press on it, you can see that all 4 HDMI ports now can be set to enhanced. And what enhanced means is that if I actually press on one of them, so the enhanced format will enable the 2.0B compatibility on the HDMI socket for higher bit depth, higher chroma, higher frame rate, especially with 4K HDR content. And previously on the Sony X1 Extreme televisions, such as the XE93, XF90, the XE94, the ZD9, the AF8 and also the A1, there are only 2 full bandwidth HDMI 2.0B ports, which are HDMI 2 and 3. But on the Sony AF9, Sony has implemented 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.0B ports. So you can hook up your, let's say you have an Xbox One X, you have a PS4 Pro, you have an Apple TV 4K box, you have a SkyQ Silver box. You can hook all these up separately to 4 different HDMI ports without needing to go through a receiver on previous Sony televisions. So welcome to the age of multi-HDR devices, Sony, and good move, all the same, good move. And you can set it to enhanced to make the HDMI port compatible with, let's say, higher frame rate, higher bit depth, higher chroma, 4K HDR sources. And if you are getting some, let's say, blackout or incompatibility with older legacy equipment, then just set it back to standard, which will drop the HDMI level down to 1.4 presumably. So if we get out from here, and the last thing that I want to check is this advanced settings. There's nothing that I am familiar with here. And the other thing that I want to check is under display and expert panel settings. Now, this being an OLED television, it may be prone to image retention and also to permanent screen burn. So on the Sony AF9, as with on the AF8 and also the A1 OLEDs, Sony has put a couple of anti-screen burn measures. First is pixel shift, which subtly shift every pixel on screen, maybe by 1 pixel or 2 pixels to minimize the risk of image retention. And also a panel refresh. So if you actually press on it, you can start a manual compensation cycle. Now, this manual compensation cycle is slightly different from the normal compensation cycle that happens after you accumulate 4 hours of operational hours. The 4-hourly compensation cycle that happens in standby will actually clear the individual pixels, but this compensation cycle, major one, big manual one, will work on the transistors. And if you are seeing screen uniformity issues, if you are seeing any, say, vertical streaks, any obvious banding in very dark scenes, you can try using the manual compensation cycle. But again, I don't really advise you to use this excessively. So that concludes my walkthrough of the picture settings on the Sony AF9. And the other thing that I want to draw your attention to is just how speedy the menu navigation is. At first glance, on my first impression, the menu is extremely speedy, and for my calibration work, I can basically whiz in and out into any menu. Let's say if I go into advanced color temperature, whiz in and out. And I am now genuinely worried that I finish too quickly, and which may leave some people dissatisfied. But that's life. So this is the AF9. I'll be spending the next couple of weeks running in this television and then just testing various options. And then maybe I'll put out a review maybe in a couple of weeks or maybe even slightly earlier. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about this TV or if there's anything in particular that you want us to test, feel free to leave some comments in the YouTube section below. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to the HDTV Test YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.